Her father would never know how much comfort the words, "Honesty is the greatest talent," gave Ayla. So, unless you don't want to be the head of the family, Noah will not become the successor just because he is my son. Yes, father. Ayla nodded with an embarrassed expression. Roderick felt just as uncomfortable. More than 10 years had passed without him having the opportunity to properly fulfill his fatherly duties, and he too felt a pang of shame as he had this conversation with his daughter. Yeah, then I guess I should go. Ophelia can't keep Laura around for that long. Roderick, who was feeling a little embarrassed, got out of bed and scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. Ah, father. It's not. Roderick, who was slowly walking towards the door, realized that he had entered through a secret passage after his daughter pointed it out to him, and walked stiffly towards the secret entrance. Ayla, who witnessed her father's usual seriousness and his unusual mistake, couldn't take it anymore and burst out laughing. Then let's really go. Even thinking about it, Roderick chuckled, perhaps finding his mistake amusing, and twisted the statue's hand. Then, the hidden passageway reappeared. Then see you at night. He smiled kindly as he entered the room and then disappeared into the dark passageway. Did you call, ma'am? Yes, Laura. Happens. Sit here. Laura, who arrived at Ophelia's room, sat in the chair in front of her as she had been instructed. Why did you call me? When Laura asked, Ophelia opened her mouth with a gentle smile. You must have worked hard taking care of Ayla alone. Thank you. At those soft words, Laura snorted inwardly. Why was she so trusting? How can you not laugh at her for entrusting her daughter to someone who only wanted to get revenge by using her own daughter, and even thank her? No, ma'am. I was just doing what I had to do. Still, I felt sorry that you had to suffer alone, so I hired another maid to take care of Ayla with you. Ophelia opened her mouth, trying to suppress the anger that filled her at Laura's hypocrisy. Maybe I'd never been so good at judging people. He trembled with fear as he remembered his own foolish past, when he rejoiced at having saved a good and honest girl. Yeah? Since the second child was born, she was cautious about bringing people over, so she was relieved to think that there would be no new maids for a while. Laura was stunned by the sudden surprise and couldn't control her expression. Why are you so surprised? You'd better work with someone rather than alone. Oh, it was so sudden. Ophelia saw Laura's expression suddenly change and nodded with her story in a somewhat mechanical tone. Yes, it is quite surprising. Sorry for not telling you in advance. I have decided to take the daughter of the Baron who helped find Ayla as a maid. A Baron's young lady. Laura couldn't hide her impatience and tapped the back of her hand with her finger. From what Ophelia had said, Lisa was 17, younger than Laura. Furthermore, he had joined the dukedom before, so he was technically older than her. It was clear that Lisa would be treated as a superior from now on. Although she was the daughter of a baron, she was still a noble woman. And, furthermore, she was the daughter of the benefactor who found the princess. It was obvious with what arrogance he would look down on Laura. I am also a noble young lady. Laura felt like crying because of the injustice. If she had not disguised herself as a commoner and entered the country, she would not have had to bow down to a simple young woman from a noble family. If she had not been involved in a conspiracy of treason and brought ruin, she would have lived like a viscountess. That meant that she was a higher-ranking noble than that girl named Lisa. And who was the benefactor? Who brought that girl, Ayla, to that farm? Thinking about how well the dukes, who were unaware of the circumstances, would treat that woman named Lisa made her stomach turn. And if Lisa acted sweet and flirty with Ayla, like a tongue in her mouth, wouldn't it be harder for her to manipulate Ayla from behind the scenes? I'm very upset. While Laura could barely control her growing irritation, Ophelia smiled and watched the scene as if she knew nothing. It wasn't exactly fun to trick someone and plot something behind their back, but considering how much they'd been fooled before, they felt like they could fool Laura even more. Then please take care of Miss Lisa. Can you do it? Yes, of course. Ophelia had asked with a kind smile, but Laura, unable to reveal her true feelings, had no choice but to suppress her anger and act hypocritically. By the way, when will that lady come? Oh, I forgot to tell you that. I thought it would arrive tomorrow. Oh, how little is left. It was already frustrating to have a maid suddenly walk in, but to think she would arrive tomorrow? Laura forced a smile, determined not to leave Ayla alone for not giving her this important news once she returned to her room. There was no way this could have come out of nowhere. It was evident that there was a plan since she left the Hersig estate with Roderick. But that reckless woman did not inform him of this important fact. Do you really think it's someone when I say miss? Ayla was nothing more than an instrument of revenge, nothing more. She couldn't understand when the girl who had always been so observant and suspicious of her had started to behave so rebelliously. Yes, then you can go now. Yes, ma'am. Laura left Ophelia's room and quickly headed to Ayla's. It seemed like the only way to vent his anger was to take it out on Ayla. Miss. And Laura slammed the door open. Ayla jumped in surprise when she saw her, wondering what she was doing. Huh? What's happening? Watching her stutter and hesitate when she spoke made him feel like his stomach was going to burst. Of course, Ayla was just trying to calm her stunned heart because Roderick was in the room a moment ago, but to Laura, who was unaware of the situation, it seemed like she was only doing it because something was bothering her. Why didn't you tell me? What? Baron Hersig's daughter comes as a maid. You already knew that, right? Laura crossed her arms and looked at Ayla with fear. Hey? Yes. I think we talked about something like that when we left the Hersig estate. But why didn't you tell me? Ayla sighed softly. She wondered what the hell her mother had said to make Laura so angry, but it turned out to be nothing. I thought you already knew. I didn't give it any importance. Ayla looked at Laura and responded in a dejected voice. In reality, she was not despondent, I was just pretending to be. As she bowed her head and trembled, Laura's mood softened. I thought I already knew, so what else could I say? From now on, you must tell me even the smallest details. Only then will I be able to inform my master and respond accordingly. Ugh, sorry. Ayla nodded, trying to please Laura. It was a little frustrating having to constantly monitor Laura's every move, even after returning to her parents' embrace, but it was inevitable if she wanted to avoid arousing Byron's suspicions. But why did you close all the curtains? It is very dark even in broad daylight. Laura, who had been grumbling, finally noticed that the curtains were closed as her anger subsided, and she asked as she opened them. Hey? It's true, it seems like it's a little cold. Ayla scratched her cheek and responded awkwardly, and Laura sighed deeply in frustration. You're inside, why do you say it's cold? You used to live in colder places than this. The tedious scolding began again. Seriously, it was hard to know who was in charge. It had already been a week since Lisa Hersig stayed at the Duke of Weischaffen's house. Although it was not long, Lisa completely adapted to the Duke's house in that week and had won the affection of many. In part, it was because she was the daughter of the benefactor who had brought back the beautiful princess, but, above all, because of her natural gentleness and kindness. In the Duke's house, almost no one disliked Lisa. Except for Laura, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that everyone loved her.